Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. For today's card, I used the Build a Snowman stamp set from Colorado Craft Company. I have a piece of slate gray cardstock from Simon Says Stamp inside my MISTI, and I'm stamping the image with some embossing ink. Now, I'm not actually embossing with this ink, I just stamped it so that I'd have an outline of the image, and I'm going to do some no-line coloring with my Prismacolor pencils. This card was definitely inspired by Debbie Hughes. I think that all of the cards that she does are amazing. But a few days ago on her YouTube channel, she had a card where she did some no-line coloring on some dark gray cardstock, and it made me really want to do some no-line coloring. So that's where I got the idea for this card. If you aren't following Debbie Hughes' YouTube channel, I would highly recommend checking it out. She is very talented. For the snowman, I'm using my white pencil to add some color, and I'm also adding a little bit of PC 1063 and PC 1065 to do some shading. Now, I just wanted to mention, I showed the 72 set of Prismacolor pencils, but I actually own a lot of pencils that aren't in that set, and you might see them sometimes. In order to slowly build up my collection of colored pencils, I have a list of all of the colors that I don't have on my phone. And every time I stop into Michael's, I take a look at all of the pencils that they have out that are just the single pencils, and I buy a few that I don't have. I do the same thing with my Copic markers, except for it's a little bit easier because there's actually an app that you can get where you can keep track of what Copic markers you have. Okay, so for the nose on my snowman, I used the orange Prismacolor pencil, which is PC 918, and I also shaded a little bit with the poppy red color, which is PC 922. For the blue jacket and the hat on the snowman, I used the colors light aqua, which is PC 992, and aquamarine, which is PC 905. For the red jacket, I used Carmine Red, which is PC 926, and Crimson Red, which is PC 924. For the snow pants, I used mostly the black pencil, but I also added in a little bit of 50% Cool Gray, which is PC 1063, for some of the lighter highlighted areas. I used my white pencil and my black pencil a lot throughout the entire image to add shading and details and highlights. No-line coloring can be a little bit intimidating, especially at first, because when you first start laying down color, it really seems like it's not going to come out good, but I would recommend to stick with it because a lot of times, if you stick with it, you'll be surprised at the results. Full disclosure, halfway through coloring this in, I actually tossed it in the trash because I didn't think that it was coming out good and I didn't think that I liked it. But I decided to stick with it and I dug it back out of the trash and I finished it. And I'm actually really happy with the way that it came out, so I'm glad that I decided to give it another go. I don't know about you guys, but I know for me personally, I'm super critical of my own work, and sometimes I can be my own worst critic. And a lot of times I have to tell myself to stick with something, even if I don't think it's completely perfect. I think this is something that a lot of crafters struggle with because we are artists, and artists are really critical of their own work. Anyways, I just want to encourage you all to stick with it next time you're struggling with a card, and maybe you'll be surprised with the way that it comes out. And even if you're not completely happy with the way that it turns out, I bet that it could still put a smile on somebody's face. Anyways, once I finished all of the coloring, I took my black Soot Distress Oxide ink and I blended that in around the edges to create a vignette. I came back in with my white Prismacolor pencil and I used a very light touch in order to fade out the edge of that snow. And then I used my Distress Oxide ink again in order to deepen up that vignette. Once I was happy with the vignette, I went over the area really well with my powder tool so that I could do some embossing. I stamped the sentiment which says "Wanna build a snowman" with Simon Says Stamp Embossing Ink, and then I embossed it with Alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. I did have a little bit of that powder stick to some areas where I didn't want it to, but I just used a dry paintbrush and wiped it away. I wanted the base of my card to be Crest colored, so I took a piece of Neenah Desert Storm cardstock and I adhered it onto a card base with my ATG gun. Next I took the gray panel and I popped it up onto that card base with some foam tape. Now you could be done with this card at this point, but I always like to add a few finishing touches in order to make a card really special. So first I used my Wink of Stella glitter brush in order to add some sparkle to all of the snow. Next I took a white gel pen and using a T-square ruler I added a border around the edge of the gray cardstock. Now I could have added this border above my sentiment, but I thought that it would look a little bit more whimsical if it went through the sentiment. So I have it start at the sentiment on each side and it kind of looks like the sentiment is part of the frame. The last thing that I did to finish up this card is I took that white gel pen and I added some more details and highlights all throughout the image. And here's a closer look at the finished card. I'm so glad that I stuck with this one because I'm really happy with the way that it came out. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design featuring the stamp set from Colorado Craft Company. All of the supplies that I used for today's card can be found in the description down below. If you enjoyed watching and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be doing a video on Monday because of the holiday, but I will be back on Wednesday for sure. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you and I hope you have a good day today.